All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the First Class Podcast. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Doucette, aka the real Phil D. How are you doing tonight?
Yo, I'm doing great, man. Even better now that I'm on this show, man. I've been keeping an eye out on you guys for a while, and I'm super stoked you guys have me on.
Honestly, let me just say this before we even start. I need to fanboy a little bit because Courtney told me about the First Mint a year ago around this time today, and I listened to every single episode religiously. So shout out to your brother LG for starting that empire. And man, I honestly give you guys a lot of credit for where I am right now because I was on TopShot heavy, listening to your NFT stuff and like just your guys' takes. And like honestly, like you guys were the only ones that were putting out content at the time. So like it was revolutionary for me.
That's amazing, man. I love hearing that. And I know we had this discussion before, but there's a lot of like a bit confusion with LG and I because, I mean, we're all over the place. We do the entertainment stuff together, but he is absolutely the mastermind, man. I have to give him his credit everywhere he is. The way it all started for me is I used to do a podcast for the last like 3 or 4 years. I covered the NBA 2K League, which is I don't know if you play video games or not.
I'm a 2K head. I was.
Have you heard of the NBA 2K League before?
For sure.
Yes. All right. Toronto Uprising. What's up?
Yo, exactly. There you go, man. I love that you know that. So I was really close to the team from day one. I covered the league. I thought it was great how they draft players, NBA styles from all over the world. They bring them into the local markets. They fly to New York every weekend to play games against other teams. Like, who does that, right? Pretty dope. So I got to know that really well, covered the league for 3 or 4 years. And my brother knew I did podcasts. So last January, he hits me up. He goes, can I pick your brain on podcasts? What kind of music should I use? Does my voice sound all right? I'm like, what is this for, dude? He's like, all right, you'll know soon enough. I said, all right, cool, man. And sure enough, I think a couple of days later, he's like, yo, here's episode 1 of The First Mint. Sends it to me. And I just throw it on because out of respect, I'm like, I don't really give a shit that much what's on here, but I'm going to throw it on and give him an extra download or listen or whatever it is. And hopefully he gets big numbers. So I didn't even listen to the first episode. I'm not even going to lie. And I tell him this all the time, but then I kind of caught the end where he was talking about NBA collectibles. And then I'm like, dude, hold on a second here, man. I text him right away. I'm like, I didn't really listen to the whole thing. I had it playing for the last whatever minutes. What is this NBA TopShot thing? And why have you not told me about this ages ago? Right. So he responded with, he claims he told me in August before that January. And if that was the case, I'd probably be living in Miami or something right now and living the big life down south with the rest of the other whales living it up in the NFT space. But no, I actually probably didn't listen to him. And here we are, man. And that was when the First Mint had like 2 followers. That was day one. And now, we're whatever followers later, a cult following per se with the First Mint community and kind of a staple in the community, right? A lot of people know the First Mint as one of the first ever content creators that they knew in the NFT space, right?
Yeah, if you were here from the beginning, you definitely know who the First Mint is. So was that technically your origin story for NFTs, getting into TopShot late? Like when did you get in around? Was it around that February boom or did you get in like right before?
So right when he dropped the podcast, I'm such a huge sports fan. I'm like, dude, I don't know what this is, man. You gotta tell me. So I destroyed him with questions. I was like, yo, what's a mint? I don't understand what mint means. Is mint like, what is it a number? Like I couldn't understand it. It took me forever. So he's like, what do I do? What do I buy? So he started sending me gifts, stuff that were worth $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. And that's it. That's all I did. I didn't buy anything, right? There were packs available at all times back in that day. Series 1 packs just sitting there, 20,000 of them, nobody buying them, maybe very slowly. Series 1 we're talking here, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything. I'm not paying $9 for this. For what? He's gifting me stuff. It's all good. And then when the boom hit was like, all right, what he had gifted me for $5 was now worth like $900 or more. So yeah, he didn't give me any birthday presents or Christmas presents since that time, because I sold a few of them. But it really was my introduction to NFTs, man. And from a lot of discussions I've had on some of our shows and with a lot of members of the community, it was actually everybody's entry into NFTs, really, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was for you guys too, or close enough, right?
100%. I still remember the day that Courtney told me about NBA TopShot, because at the time I was collecting physical sports cards, right? So he was telling me like, oh, he's like, you're into physical sports cards. He's like, you should check out NBA TopShot. They're digital collectibles. And I'm like, why? Like, like the same questions that people have now, like you can go on. I'm like, well, I don't see the value in this. I can go on YouTube and look at this highlight, right? Yeah. And then he was like, dude, I think I'm gonna. He's like, he's sending me articles. He's like, I think I'm gonna buy some. So I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna buy some too. So I remember I bought a Zach LaVine for like $10, and then I was like, let's just see what happens. And then I woke up the next day, it was at 50. Woke up the next day, it was at 100. I'm like, yo,
oh man,
we're gonna be rich. I sold it for $100, and then went crazy during that boom and just got absolutely wrecked. Like, and Phil, I know you can. I think there was like you had some sort of beef with Cool Cats on the podcast.
Oh, you remember that, man?
Yeah. Do you want to kind of touch on that a bit?
Listen, the Cool Cats era was a special one. It was a master challenge that lasted. It was supposed to last like a month. I think it went 3 or 4 months. And by the end, the dip had already happened. People were already super pissed and we're ready to get this thing over with. And I don't know if you remember but there were Cool Cats part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it was. And every time you had to predict what the base moments needed were to complete the challenges, right? So people were buying hundreds of whatever moment they thought might be part of the next challenge. And then they would drop the challenge and it wouldn't be there. Yeah. People were owning like 200-ish Smiths, right? For no reason. And they couldn't sell them after, right? Unless they lost on every single one. And I think it was Will Barton. That was the big one. So when Will Barton was announced, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was College Cats. Because I think Will Barton went to Arizona, I believe. Wildcats. I'm not sure. But Will Barton was not expected to be part of Cool Cats Part 3. He was part of it, and he was $3 on the market. And I bought like 3 or 4 of them as soon as that news broke, and then I sold them for $350. Like those were the days, man. So had you loaded up on 100 Will Bartons ahead of time, like people were loading up on every player they could think of that had cat tattoos on their face.
I remember that.
Lion tattoos on their bodies, like stuff like it was out of control, man. I would do spaces for conspiracies and theories on what was next for Cool Cats. And we would have like 400 or 500 people, more than we ever have on spaces for anything else we do. So those were the days, man. And I think it was the Luca that really kicked things off when Luca was at $800 and it ended up going to 9,800 at its peak. And we had Osimo from Osimo.com, Alex Baker, come on one of our shows, and he bought like 40 of them at 3 or 4 grand. No, right in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
But he didn't sell them on the way up. He sold them, I think, all the way at the bottom eventually, right? So it's kind of a lesson, guys, for all of us. And I think we all learned from TopShot. And that goes for crypto or anything else. When it's at an all-time high, even though you think you're heading for the riches, because we all did when those accounts were, times 20, maybe it's a good time to sell and maybe it won't keep rocketing. But then you see the apes and you're like, well, what if that happens, right? So, you know what I'm saying?
Damn, man, you guys were on some super duper forensic stuff. And I mean, for the people who don't know what happened with that whole TopShot wave, basically the Cool Cats was a collection of players who in some way, shape, or form had some kind of cat, like maybe it was their college mascot, or maybe like it was part of their nickname or whatever it was, but that's what put these players into the collection. And so I remember just looking at the detailed research people were doing, and it wasn't just that collection, but other collections. You're like, okay, so they've already used these 3 point guards. All right. Now they've got 7 more point guards who had a double on their birthday. And it's like, you guys were doing some deep research, but I mean, man, when you love it and when there's like a financial incentive, I don't see why not, right? Like, do your research and yield the rewards. It was a fun time, man. And I think it really set the standard for like how engaging an NFT community should be, because that was fun, man.
It was, but why did they go away from that? I always ask that question. Every time we have Jacob, the community lead, on our shows, I ask that exact question. Why did you guys move away from that? That created side entertainment for everybody. You know, whether you were going for cool cats or not, trying to predict the base moments that were going to skyrocket once they were announced was part of the fun. You said it right, man. These people were digging into college stats, college game winners, high school game winners, all sorts of nonsense like that, right? And then they dropped the bomb on us actually one time that they were moving into the cool instead of cats. And it was going to be players from cold countries or something like that.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah. People were like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of Porzingises. I was like,
and they did, but it was accurate.
Yeah.
We nailed it. So we predicted the exact 5 guys for that one because we got the leak from Jacob on one of our shows that it would be cool. And I think it was Boucher, but people are like, Boucher, they're looking where he was born. I believe it's somewhere in
Montreal.
Montreal. But was it Boucher? There was someone else, though. It created confusion because they were born on a little Caribbean island. They're Canadian. It was either Lou Dort or Boucher. I can't remember. They're both from Montreal, but I don't know if they're both born in Montreal. But either way, there was confusion as to if it's where you're born, if it's where you play your basketball, right? It was all over the place, man. So people were going crazy. But I did buy like 60 Kyle Lowrys at one point, thinking that the Wildcats, Villanova Wildcats, and he was never used, unfortunately. So, but man, you're right, guys. We had the time of our lives with that stuff, man. That's what I enjoyed. You're right. That's part of the community. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, and you still are. So, like, that being said, like, what do you think the current state of TopShot is looking like right now? Do you think, like, obviously prices have gone down a bunch and there's a lot of supply on the market. There's not that many users coming in anymore. Do you think that they can kind of save the product in a sense? Like, I feel like they're Let's
just establish that. Okay, the product needs to be saved.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice about it.
Like, yeah, you don't need to be nice, man. It's okay to say it. I've learned that, even though it doesn't matter what position we're in. If you're feeling something, man, you need to say it in this space, right? You can't really keep it in that much. It's true, right?
Yeah,
I agree. No, okay. So to answer your question, I think here's how I'm approaching TopShot. Maybe I try and not say things too publicly. And I'll feel something, but I don't necessarily want to say it. And the reason for that is because I know we have influence in the community. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to if I'm feeling something, I'll always be honest with people, but I won't go out of my way to put it out there and kind of just destroy things because I know people follow and I know it impacts a lot of people. So for example, when I took my ballers off as my profile picture, I got so many DMs, man, people like freaking out. Are you leaving? Are you scared? Are you giving up on ballers? Like, what's going on? Everything we do is put under a microscope, including selling TopShot moments, right? Like I'm telling you, man, if I gift somebody something, that person will get DMs. Why is the real Philly sending you gifts? Or I'll get DMs. Why are you sending that person gifts? You know what I'm saying? So for me with TopShot, guys, if I'm being fully honest, the approach I'm taking, just because I don't really know where to go as a collector, is I'm only buying the stuff I love, right? This takes me back to collecting, regular sports cards and things like that. And I think if I do it that way, it'll kind of eliminate, a lot of the pain when you're paying so much for something or dropping so much to get a certain collector score. And then you're so disappointed when things don't work out. That it lessens the pain. So if I look at my account and I've got a bunch of Kyle Lowrys and all the Raptors because I love the Raptors, at the end of the day, I'm okay. Do you know what I mean? I would love the big stuff too, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Now, can TopShot bounce back? I don't know, man. They've got a long road ahead of them. But if you're looking at all the other NFT projects, and I know you guys are into NFL and all that, TopShot is still miles ahead in terms of development and their platform than anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
They are. Do you want to know my TopShot strategy?
Absolutely.
I sold everything.
Come on. Like you own zero. So right now your collection is at zero.
Yeah, I have 0 moments.
Wow,
you
man.
can look. My name on TopShot is Tupac, TUPACK, and I took those profits and I went to NFL All Day.
Okay.
That I feel honestly I am excited about. I think that the moment quality overall is way better.
In what respect, though? Not just purely the play, or like the way that they actually present the play, or
I think the moments are actually better. Like for TopShot, for example, it'll be like somebody's rookie moment, and it would be like them doing a chest pass, and it's like, what the hell is this?
Okay,
you know
but hold on. I got to cut you off for a second, though. Okay, now, if you're saying that, you need to explain to me, and I know you heard me bring this up on shows before. I know you know what I'm going to say here.
Yeah.
You need to explain to me the legendary Cam Hayward moment where he chases a quarterback out of bounds, doesn't even make contact with him. All right. Literally chases him out of bounds. And that's a legendary moment.
So you know what I kind of chalk it up to? I chalk it up to people who are running these products that maybe have never played sports maybe not at a high level, or maybe like they think like that's a cool moment for some reason. Like there's no way you can go through all Cam Hayward's highlights and pick that.
No. There's a way. It's because exactly what you're saying. Maybe it's the story behind that play was like, it was the 5th sack of his game. And it was just statistically, it was the 5th sack. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Cool. That's a stretch, man.
I'm just, damn, because it's so bad, man. It's so bad.
It's bad.
Like, listen, it's the equivalent of you catching a pass for a yard or something.
Yeah.
And stepping out of bounds. Like, nah, man.
Yeah, no one wants that. No one wants that.
Nobody wants that. He didn't even make contact. Like, if he had caught him and shoved him out of bounds, maybe. He literally guided him out of bounds, not even for a loss. It was like maybe even a 1-yard gain. I don't know. I was dumbfounded, but I think you said it right, though. I think sometimes these projects like TopShot and UFC and NFL, they don't have the right people in the boardrooms or in those, like, you know, those breakdown rooms when it's time to release the moments. Somebody like maybe one of us who'd be watching be like, man, you absolutely can't go with that. No.
Yeah.
Football fans won't be having that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know, man. We don't know who's behind the scenes. I've always questioned that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. If NFL All Day needs like a moment advisor, like send them my way and I'll be like, hey, this is not it.
Hey, to that point, though, the team that they have, there's so many members that they need, like the role of an economist, right? And just somebody who can balance the number of moments, the price point of each moment. So how do you get people involved where maybe some people have a smaller budget to play with, some people have more money, but everybody needs to be able to find where they fit. I didn't understand how important that was until about 6 months into my TopShot journey.
So true, man. It's all over the place, right? I agree. And I don't know if that's like quality control or what it is. That's actually one of the things I've questioned the most with all these Dapper and Flow projects is the quality control, right? Look how much they make on every drop. Like, okay, hold on. What was the TopShot drop today? They dropped 110,000 packs, $19 each. That's a cool 2.2, 2.4, whatever it is. Quick math million, right? So it's easy for them. I mean, they do this every time and they sell out every time. But where's the quality control? There was another example. There's all sorts of misprints too, man. And you're like, how does that happen? Who reviews these things where there's misprints on moments where they're describing the wrong play or the wrong player? There was a few in the NFL, and I was disappointed by that because I'm like, we dealt so much with that with TopShot. So many misprints with Zion from the wrong city, all sorts of stuff like that, which is okay. But there were some in the NFL that had the wrong player name in the description. They were describing the wrong milestone, things like that. It's like, you got to have the right people. You're making a lot of money. Spend some of that money on some quality control people that will not allow these things to happen. I think it's important. But then, you know what they're going to say? Why is it important when we're selling packs for $250 every week and selling out every single time? Why do we care? We don't need to do any of that.
What do you think's the next thing that gets people excited again? Oh, I know some people are still excited, so don't let me like rain on the parade, but there was like a crush of people who were rushing to, like, I remember just being in places and, yo, did you get in the queue? Yeah. I'm like number 6 million in the queue, man. There's no chance I'm getting a pack. I remember how that was back in the day. So
true.
It hurt.
What does it take to get that level of excitement back?
You know, people were doing drops on planes. We had people sending us videos of them gazillions of miles in the air, like literally like begging for Wi-Fi to do drops, and people running out of meetings. We actually asked people to submit videos of what they do on pack drop day. We saw the craziest shit you'll ever see in your life. People doing some really, really wild stuff. Some people hiking to the top of mountains, trying to find signal to do drops. You're right, man. But now they can't even fill the queues up. It's the same people buying the packs. I don't know. It's really tough with TopShot because, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to keep rolling out LeBron moments. They're not worth what they used to be, right? Like having a LeBron before was like the holy grail. If you had a LeBron, that was the big thing. People will always talk about Kobe and MJ, right? If they ever come to the platform, is that going to change things? I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to go crazy, but then how do you sustain that after, right? It'll be the same thing. Just like when the Vince Carter moment came out. I was super stoked for Vince Carter to have his first ever moment in a Raptors jersey. So what did they do? They minted it to 50 people as a legendary, and only 50 people can own it. Do you know what I'm saying? That is not, man, like, come on.
Didn't they mess up the team sets with that? Or wasn't it part of the team set? And then they said, like, this isn't part of the team set anymore. No one was going to be able to afford a 50 count Carter.
But that's just it. So now if you don't own the Vince Carter, which only 50 people can own him, you don't have the Raptors team set anymore.
See,
so you've got like 1,000 people who have the Raptors team set, right? Just like they told you to collect your teams, whatever. And now all of a sudden you're saying, well, only 50 of you can now have a full team set. That doesn't work, man. I don't know. That's not a good move. That's where if you have quality control people in the back rooms, if I was in there and they said that, I said, no, you're not doing that. You can fire me now, but you're not doing that under my watch. No chance. Yeah. Right. I know how people react. So
when that happened, that's when I sold everything. But moving on, right? We can talk about TopShot all day. You have the G on your head.
Yeah.
Right? I've been talking to you
I can't believe we waited this damn long to talk about this. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
You have the G on your head. We've been talking about it. You actually were one of the reasons as to why I even submitted my application to be onboarded. Genies. What are Genies for those who don't know? And how do you see Genies kind of revolutionizing like your online identity?
Man, Genies is a trip. And I caught on to Genies early last year when they, I forgot who the deal was with, but they had some kind of drop on OpenSea. So they were ETH blockchain to start with. They had some drops with Mesut Ozil. Shawn Mendes had a whole collection come out under the Genies brand on OpenSea. And those are actually still out there. And the last drop they ever did on the ETH blockchain was Pac-Man. They did that right before switching over to Flow. And I got one of those, and that one is still stuck in the wallet that I can't remember the seed phrase, which is a whole other story.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going there, man. It's still locked in there, and it's worth a lot. But and there's only so many of them. But Genies is pretty much, I don't know how much people know about digital identity. I'm actually finding this out every day, how much people know. It's incredible, but it is the future of digital identity 100%. So they're basically avatars that you can dress up with whatever wearables you want and use in any way, shape, or form you want in the digital world. And it's on the Flow blockchain right now. The vision of the team is absolutely incredible. Back in, I believe, December, they signed the biggest NFT deal in NFT history when they signed Universal Records on a $300 million deal, I think it was, with Universal, which means that every single artist under the Universal umbrella will be onboarded onto Genies eventually. They've already started with some of the lesser known ones. They recently brought Bob Iger, former CEO of Disney, on board, and they didn't just bring him on kind of like, hey, here's 100K. Can you just say you love Genies? No, man, they brought him on. He bought half the company, I believe, or something like that. And he's going to make it his, as well as the CEO and founder Akash, who's fantastic. So, a lot of people think Genies is for kids because it looks like a cartoon character a bit. But it's a lot more than that, because people will be able to build their own brands with Genies. And I tell this to people who do the interviews with me all the time. They talk about metaverse. Oh, I can't wait for the metaverse. Can't wait for this. But if you listen to the founding team, they tell you it's not just about the metaverse. There will never be a Genies land where you're running around with other Genies. Now, the Genies will be used in metaverses, but your Genie is there for you to create. And it's about ownership and freedom. And I know it's hard to understand what that means because we're not that far along yet. but I can tell you that people who are in the early access for Genies right now have already started creating wearables that they're eventually going to sell under their own brand on the marketplace, or do drops like anybody else does drops, right? So, and I think you've seen some of the celebrities that are on board too. A ton of athletes are in there. KD recently had his Genie shown off. Cardi B, Offset, I know we're being onboarded recently. And I always give the example of Drake. If Drake ever wanted to come in with his OVO brand and do a drop for his fans or for anybody, I mean, you'd be in the queue. You'd probably crash the entire website if that ever happens, right? If you could wear, Drake's OVO wearables. And then if I told you had the opportunity, if you bought an OVO jacket, if I tell you right now that you had the opportunity to then edit that jacket and mix it in with your own brand and then sell it as a collab of OVO and your own brand, man, who's to say that the entire world wouldn't know about you after that happens? And that's this kind of stuff you'll be able to do with Genies. You know what I'm saying? So people,
I do,
right? Like people,
I've been trying to get Courtney to get one, and he won't listen to me.
Because I know why. He sees those things, man. He's like, I'm not playing games like that.
Yeah. So I mean, this sounds like some pretty cool stuff. You mentioned like digital identity. And we know that online is kind of like a second life. It's a different representation of us and maybe the persona that we want to portray. But how does a Genie differ with what how does a Genie differ from like a PFP that somebody may have from another NFT collection?
That's a good question, man. So I get asked this all the time, because if you look at the CEO and founder and all the community team, none of them have Genies as their PFP on Twitter or anywhere else. They all have their apes or whatever NFTs they're proud of, because they don't see Genies as a PFP. That's why, right? Again, I go back to the ownership and freedom. And if you look at Genies and what you're able to create right now, there is nothing else like it out there for avatars. We've had, on a lot of the interviews that I've done with people, I had a couple surgeons come in. They're hiding in the closet. I don't know if they're in between surgeries or what. I had a nurse come in and she said, yeah, I'm serious. I've had 3 now in the last 2 weeks. And one of them was in Miami. He's a surgeon. He was hiding in a medical closet doing his interview to be onboarded onto Genies. And I'm like, dude, you have someone on the table right now, or what's the story, man?
Busy schedule, huh?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you don't need to be here. You can reschedule if you're busy, but we appreciate your time. But yeah, if you look at the features that are available on your Genie, the ability to kind of identify as maybe you've always wanted and not been able to in real life. Like, I'll give a great example. Earlier today, we had a gentleman in Ghana on one of the calls, and he's been an aspiring rapper his entire life, but he feels his window is gone. But now he feels, as we move into digital identity, he can make himself look as he wishes. He can take 20 years off his life or whatever he wants while he's in the studio and kind of maybe build some sort of career or something under that digital identity, right? I mean, yeah, listen, if he can make himself look whatever he feels will sell or will be popular, he can absolutely do it, right? And that's what Genies is there for. And what I love is that they're not taking anything from you, the creator, whatsoever. Whatever you do with your Genie, and I always give the example, if you take your Genie and you sign him to a 7-movie deal with Disney Pixar, everything goes to you, man. They don't take anything from you, right? It's yours to do what you want with it and use it anywhere you want in the future of digital identity. So it's pretty cool. And they're actually onboarding kids too, because they know how creative kids are, and they know how kids are into TikTok and Snapchat and all that stuff. And that's actually a great place to start using it now, because, you see those little things on, you can even send a text to somebody and have that little kind of avatar that looks like
the Bitmoji.
Yeah, that thing, man. I find it creepy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, actually, let me give you one more example. So I hate LinkedIn pictures. All right. I have a job. I always have to take like these wedding pictures of me in suits, but I'm always hammered in those pictures, or it's just, yeah, man, I hate that stuff. So I'm like, you know what, man, let me try my Genie. So I dressed my Genie up with some stuff I got in a drop. Nice little suit, got paint all over it, tie, Hollywood glasses, cornrows. That's not me, but that's what I feel like looking like. And I don't really care. And the CEO at my office, I kid you not, the next day comes over to my desk, says, you've been scrolling through LinkedIn, what's this you got going on, man? And you don't want the CEO at your desk more than a minute or two, or else, you don't know what conversation.
It gets awkward fast.
That's right. So I said, that's digital identity. That's the future of digital identity. Get ready. You're going to see a bunch of those because people can actually look how they want. We had a nurse tell us, I'm not allowed to have colored hair at my job. I want to have colored hair. I want to have green hair. I'm not allowed to at my job. They don't allow it. Others not allowed to have tattoos on their necks, on their arms, whatever. You're not allowed to have that for their jobs. So now they can go into the metaverse, or they can identify in the digital world as they wish, right? We had a chef who is a world-class chef, but he doesn't like what he looks like. And he never wanted to show himself ever. So he's missing out on YouTube videos and all sorts of stuff like that. Well, guess what? He was onboarded onto Genies. He built his own Genie as he wants to look. And now he's doing videos and stuff. So it's pretty dope, man.
And honestly, so I know part of the Genies marketing, like they say, like, we're not a project, right?
Oh,
like
they love that. Yeah.
They say that all the time. And it's probably one of the things that I'm most bullish on in this space, simply because everybody around the world could potentially have one day.
That's right. Absolutely, man.
It's not like some 10K project where, it's exclusive. Like there's a possibility that everybody in the world may have a Genie one day that can have access to them. And that's why I'm like, there's only maybe 1,400 people onboarded right now. Still super
not
early.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe less.
Why so few?
It's a slow process is what they've done. So when I started, I was number 28 into the early access.
Damn.
And yeah, so I was there early for the first drops. And then it went to 200, and they're slowly onboarding. So they're still trying out all the systems and stuff, right? This is really early in their vision. They don't want everybody in right now. They want the people they feel will kind of build the community and believe in what they're doing. We're always looking for people that, are excited about digital identity, excited about Genies. That's the kind of people we're looking for. And it's such a global thing already. Like I always talk about this. In the calls that I do, we have people from Russia, Japan, Korea, every country you could think of. And even in some countries where NFTs are not even a thing, and they say they want to bring NFTs to be part of the culture. I had a few kids in Colombia. You guys were 17 or 18 years old, whatever they were, and they were taking time out of their beach resort vacation to talk to us. And they were super stoked because they said nobody knows NFTs in Colombia. But if we start identifying with these Genies all over the place, maybe it'll open some eyes. But yeah, it's a small number, man. It's a really small number. Tens of thousands have applied. A very small number are in the early access right now. They're slowly moving along, right?
Yeah. So instead of getting a randomly generated blend of traits that we usually see in these 10,000 piece sets, you curate your own persona. Like you pick what you look like, and that's a one-of-one piece that you can choose to represent you. And so you said people are using these in different ways. How do people go about doing that? Is there tools that you guys are planning to build as well that maybe, I don't know, what's the equivalent of like an animation studio? Is that?
Yeah. Hey, with Bob Iger on board, I'm sure there's something like that coming, right? I mean,
that's the big time, but I mean, even just like small time, what kind of stuff are you guys have on the roadmap in terms of, helping people bring their Genies to life?
Actually, so basically I don't get much information. I can only take in what I do in the spaces that Akash, the CEO and founder, has, and he leaks info all the time. So I go based on that. They don't tell us any secret stuff on the side.
Smart. They're too smart for that.
He doesn't have a roadmap though. He has something called a tree. It's kind of a tree with a bunch of branches, and they keep adding to it. I don't know if it's called the vision tree or not. And you're right. You said that whole project thing. I was actually the first person to call it a project on Twitter, and they destroyed me, man. They used my tweet to make an example of
Hey, Phil, you got 5 minutes? Come in my office real quick.
Exactly, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it wasn't even that private. It was straight up on Twitter. We are not a project. All right. That's it. Learn it. Now, what was that? You wanted to work with us? All right, cool, man. Come on in. But no, they knew how excited I was for Genies from a long time ago. And that's kind of why I got in early. But yeah, no, it's like no other. It's PFPs, you're right. You buy these PFPs, you say one looks like you are, that's dope, I'm buying that one. But this one, you can do everything from turning the ears sideways, and you know what I'm saying? Like shaping the ears, the face, the facial hair. Like people, I've never seen, I'm creative, but digitally, I don't have experience in that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's mine.
Yeah, see, look at that, man. Put it right beside your face, man. I'm telling you. That's really close. That's really
and
so this is
they don't even have face scan yet.
That's right.
No, so this is more like creating a player in a video game than creating
A little bit.
I mean, yes, just in the terms of like you get to turn all the dials and knobs and really that's cool. That's dope.
But back to your question though, I'll tell you what they've started doing is they've started rolling out creator tools to members of the early access. So once you're in the early access, if you want to have access to the creator tools to create your own wearables, you have to apply for that as well. That's a second part of the application. I'm not in there. And they have two types of tools. They have the beginner tools for someone like me who has no digital creating experience, and I can't even draw a cat on a paper. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, man. You guys don't want to see me draw a cat. But and then you got the experts who are really into that stuff. And I think, Courtney, you'd probably be one of them, man. You seem like you got a lot of IT background and experience. They have the advanced tools. And some of the people who've had access to the advanced tools, I can't even tell you guys, man, the stuff they've created is incredible. It looks like it's out of a movie. They've created a whole world for their genies and they've already started building their own brands and designs and clothes and stuff like that, which is super cool, right? To be able to build your own brand. Like I'm telling you, there's people sitting at home that did not go to school for fashion design or anything like that, but they're going to come up with a nice idea that some celebs are going to rock on their genies and stuff like that. It's going to take off, man. It'll change their lives. Do you know what I mean? Especially that you get all the proceeds. None of it goes to the genies team, man. Whatever you sell goes to you, right? So yeah. And then one more thing I have to tell you guys. They did mention something about Genies houses. No elaboration on that. It's going to be something called Genies houses where you can host parties, you can host celebrities, you can have DJs and other genies come to your place and have meetings. You can do all sorts of stuff in there. We don't know if you're able to sell them. We don't know what's going to happen with that stuff. But man, we're still scratching the surface here and we already have all this info on a 10-year vision, man.
I'm getting a mansion if that's the case. If you're able to sell your house, I'm getting a mansion.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the one Flow Dapper project that I'm the most excited about. I think it's very different than the others. It won't have anything to do with cannibalizing each other whenever there's a drop, sell my baller, I need money, sell this, sell that. And then it's a flip-flop back and forth between the Dapper wallet, right? But Genies is a little bit different. And look at the star power they have behind them. Do you know what I mean? Someone like Bob Iger is not buying half the company if he thinks it's going to be something they just throw into the ground, right? Yeah,
you dropped some names too. You said Cardi B.
Oh, they're already calling. Absolutely, man. Cardi B and Offset, they want it all. Like I went to Paris Hilton. So do you guys remember? Okay, I have to tell one more story. I know I'm talking too much here.
No. Keep them coming.
So my first experience with any of this stuff, like metaverse or people in the digital world, was I was sitting at home one day. I was watching the Raptors or something like that. It was actually kind of late at night. And my kids who are now turning 13 and 18 this year, all right, I hear upstairs, this is 2 years ago. I hear, maybe last year, I hear all hell break loose. Like it sounds like the floors are about to break. I hear jumping, I hear banging on the walls, I hear things breaking, chairs being flipped over. So I run upstairs and every time I'm going to give my kids the business, I record it so they can't say anything whenever it comes back. They can't say I said something. They can't listen, man, I'm telling you, because they're going to lie after about what they said and whatnot. So I bust into their rooms and they're both just doing flips off the bed. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I was really pissed. And they said they're at a Travis Scott concert. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Fortnite.
Yes, right? So I'm like, what? Right? I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, show me. And they show me. And there's all these people on the dance floor. Travis Scott is actually on the stage. And I'm like, what is this? And who are these people here? They're like, oh, it's other people that found their way to the concert stage. I'm like, yo, is this real? And I know a lot of the music. I know Travis Scott. And I'm like, this is unreal, right? That was my first exposure to anything like this, where someone who's not even there is able to have a whole concert and have millions of people show up and be part of it and be dressed how they want, act how they want, and all that. Right. And I don't know if you guys know, but Genies had a mini event like that. I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, where Paris Hilton was going to take her Genie and do a DJ set in Decentraland. So I went into Decentraland that night. I didn't know how to find the venue or anything. And I'm just walking around and I think I saw my brother go by or something. I'm like, man, this is out of control. And I call him. I'm like, dude, is that you that just went by in the forest with that cape on? Yeah. All right. Okay, how do we get to the stage? So we get to the stage and Paris comes on for an 8-minute set, DJ set, and she's throwing things in the crowd. And if you catch one of these boxes or you break it open, she's got exclusive dresses and coats and stuff in there that as soon as you break it open and claim it, they go straight to your OpenSea or MetaMask account. And some of them are worth thousands of dollars now, whoever claimed the ones that she was throwing into the audience. So just to give you a glimpse of what you could do with celebrities and artists and just regular people in these metaverses, it's nuts, man. It really is. Right. Wow. So yeah, it was an 8-minute set. That's all it lasted, but she threw some goodies into the crowd. And as long as you smash that box open first and claimed it, it went straight to your MetaMask, and then you could see it on OpenSea already and do whatever you want with it.
Yo, that sure beats scrambling fruit roll-ups at lunchtime. Goodness.
Oh man, I know the kids of our generation are so lucky, man. They really are. You know what I'm saying?
That's sweet, man.
Yeah,
that's cool. I remember being in Fortnite when wasn't Travis Scott like 300 feet tall when he did the concert or something like that?
Yeah, it was huge on the screen. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was dope.
Phil, are you full-time into like Web3 stuff yet, or do you still got like, you know, you're mining fiat during the day?
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing, right? I do have a day job and I do a lot of coaching and stuff like that. So I'm really busy, plus 2 kids. But I always say the kids at this age, the problems are a little different than they were when they were small. They just need all the attention in the world. Now you beg for their attention and the problems are actually bigger financially and stuff like that, right? But I wish I could do NFTs full time. I have considered it. I've had a lot of job offers, but I figure we're so early in the space that why would I take the first job that's thrown my way? Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'd be selling myself short while I can still have fun in NFTs. I'm a little different than my brother. My brother's gone full time into NFTs, and he's absolutely killing it with TheFirstMint. TheFirstMint is on fire right now, right? And I admire that so much, and I love being part of TheFirstMint. The thing is, my journey in NFTs, and this recently changed, I'd say about a month ago when I started getting really sour on Dapper and Flow projects and kind of upset at them because every time they would drop these NFL packs for $250, I'm like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Why are you guys buying these things when the pack values are like $50 sometimes, man? Like, come on, right? So for me, I've been in it for the entertainment only from almost day one. I love doing live shows. I love doing, you know, the spaces and being part of the community, going in the Discords and causing ruckus in there and just having a good time. It's never been really about the money for me until recently when I made the move where I cut half my Dapper and Flow stuff, sent it all to Ethereum and started buying the real stuff and kind of making profits there. Then I got really excited, right? But, you know, for me, it's still about the entertainment. I'm having a great time with this. If I make money on the side, I'm super happy. But, you know, there's a lot of different ways to approach it, but I would love to do this full time. Sometimes I really don't have time for anything.
Courtney, should we tell them about stacks?
I feel you. Yeah, you should let them know. But in this case, let me just say, I feel you. Because like if somebody offered me a job in crypto, I'd be like, yo, yes, but can you also negotiate an extra 3 hours in the day? Because true, this is like it moves so fast that you can't just dip your toe in. You really got to spend some time keeping up on latest news, doing your research. There's a lot of stuff to consume, whether it's just NFTs, if it's crypto, if it's DeFi, if it's specifically Bitcoin. Like each of those markets has years worth of stuff happening every month. So yeah, you really got to be in it to be in it, but it's exciting, man. That's undeniable.
For sure. And you say that, like, I can't tell you how many times I've been hiding in meeting rooms at work because I got a hold of spaces. I'm like, please let my boss not come on the spaces or see my Twitter lit up in that purple circle while I'm supposed to be at my desk doing something else, because I've had to do it a lot, man. And then, you know, we have an NFL drop a bit later. All right, so 3 or 4 a day. I'm at the office that day. What do? People are coming in the room. I have to reserve man, it's really bad. But you do what you got to do. I still do my job very well at the end of the day. I don't miss anything. But yeah, it's been a challenge. I'm not going to lie.
That's what we call degenning.
Yeah, it really is, man. And I'm not even making big profits to be calling myself a full-time degen, right? So, but like I said, I've had offers before. But my thing is with these people is like, you know what? Change my life. You want to change my life? I'll take it. If it's just your regular, we hope it works out. I've been offered, man, I've been offered the craziest stuff. Come be our CEO of this. Come be our director of marketing. I'm like, for what? Just because I can pump something really well and people really like what I say on Twitter, you want me to be that's a red flag. You want me to be your director of marketing just like that with no background or like what? No, that's not good. No, man, get the real professionals in here, man. What? That's not going to work. That's not a sign of a good project because like, let's be serious, right? You want to hire the real people in those spaces. And I think a lot of NFTs do that. They hire people from the community, which is great.
Yeah.
You hire them in positions that maybe they should be hiring actual professionals, to keep sustainability. Like look at a lot of the community team from Dapper. It's all the same people, man. They're in all the Discords. It's the same mods in every Discord for UFC, for NFL, for TopShot, right? Which is fine. But I'm saying that you use your community to your advantage, but there has to be a bit of balance, right? You can't hire all the community for all the big positions. It's not going to work. For me, that was a big red flag. When a director of marketing, I'm like, I even sent it to my mom. I'm like, Mom, look at this. Like, this guy for real? Like, well, hold on. Just because I was responsible for the very first drop being super successful because I tweeted a couple times and I was showing excitement for it, you're rolling out these HR papers offering me the position of director of marketing? No, man. I know I'm setting myself up for failure here with this because, as much as I know I could probably do a makeshift good job, like, let's be honest, the minute that thing goes bad, it's gonna fall on me. And I wasn't even qualified for it. So why would I take that, man?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
NFT world, I don't think the majority of people appreciate that it's just another business, right? The product and the delivery of the product it's a little bit different than something traditional, but at the end of the day, there's customers, there's customer acquisition. You got to have a communication strategy. You got to have a revenue model. It's business, man. And if you're not treating it as such, eventually all businesses run dry, and that's not a good sign.
It's true though. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, they escape with 2 or 3 million off their original drop and they're okay with that. Right. That's the problem with crypto and NFT. It's still very volatile like that. There's still until governments acknowledge and all that, there's no governance, there's no control. People can do whatever they want and stay kind of hidden. Actually, we did see an article lately of those guys who rugged everyone. They kind of got charged. I think it was in the state of New York or something, but there's a lot of those, right? And we keep seeing it. There are rug jobs everywhere. These creators are coming away with 2 or 3 million. I mean, you're good with that, right? You just withdraw it to your wallet, you're gone. Nobody knows who you are and life goes on. So it's still, you got to be careful, man. There's a lot of crappy stuff out there. And it's not like the real world. That's the only way it differs from the real world is that it's a lot easier to be slick online and in the digital world than it is in the real world, right? Especially when there's no police authorities actually. It's just, I don't know. It's chaos out there, man. It's everyone for themselves really at the end of the day. Right.
It's the wild, wild west.
It really is, man.
But we don't, we appreciate your time tonight. This has been like a very fun interview. It's funny how things come full circle. You were the brother on the First Mint that would hop on. I'd be like, this guy has the greatest voice. He's so entertaining.
Oh, that's for sure my brother, man. The voice is all him, man. I can't do his voice. I'll never take credit for his voice, man. He has a voice that puts people to sleep because they love it so much.
Well, you brought the energy. So that was always cool and then now to have you on our podcast is amazing. But before we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. What are you expecting from the Toronto Raptors going into the playoffs?
Oh, I'll tell you this, man. The Toronto Raptors, I was at the game last night, so I got to see it firsthand. They are not a team. If you ask every team in the Eastern Conference right now, the one team they probably don't want to see in the first round, it has to be the Raptors, man.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a huge pattern building here with Nick Nurse and his coaching staff that he puts together. And the combo he has with Masai. Look at all these undrafted or unwanted players that they're turning into relevant players in the league, right?
Like the Spurs, old Spurs.
No, exactly, right?
Yeah.
But a much younger version. And look at Precious Achiuwa now, right? When he first came to the Raptors, everyone's like, dude, this guy sucked last year, right? Nobody wanted his moments on TopShot. He looked awful in his first 10 games with the Raptors. But look at this guy now. This guy's hitting threes all over the place, man. I was sitting there watching that last night. I'm like, man, his game has really changed. Fred VanVleet, undrafted. You know what I'm saying? Look at all these guys. Pascal Siakam, man, nobody even knew who he was. They're turning these guys into, again, relevant players. But, it's not going to be easy. The NBA is very much a superstars league. unless you bring in a superstar to complement all these guys on the Raptors, I don't think they're winning a title anytime soon. Because look at it. I mean, when was the last time there was a champion without a superstar on the team? Let's be honest. It has to be like the Pistons in 04 or 05, whatever it was that they won, where they didn't have a superstar on the team. Ever since, it's been every single champion, right?
They had Hall of Famer, though. Did they have Ben Wallace in there?
Yeah, Ben Wallace.
Well, they have a few Hall of Famers now. So
actually, speaking of Ben Wallace, I just went to Detroit as a special guest for an NFT event of Meet Ben Wallace. So I drove to Detroit, had to go through all the hell of the border with all the COVID stuff, met up with the guy I was going with. We went to the event, and it turned out to be Ben Wallace meet and greet, where Isaiah Thomas shows up, gives a little speech and leaves, and that's it. Never saw Ben Wallace, man. I got the bobblehead, but we never saw Ben Wallace.
Wow.
I was about to ask, like, does he still have great hair? Because he used to have the afro. He used to have the massive afro.
Maybe it's like a shorter gray afro.
You guys need to look him up. I was shocked, man, because I only have one vision of Ben Wallace in my mind, and it's the big hair, you know, the malice at the palace and all that stuff. But no, man, he looks different. It is all gray now and much shorter. The beard is gray. It looks very different, man, right? So
it makes you feel old. So like I try not to go down that lane. It really does. But yeah, Raptors, I think they'll make some noise. They'll be really tough. Their defense is finally in the top 10 in the league, which is kind of what they've been feeding on for years. And yeah, man, I'm such a big fan. Two of the best days of my life were the night they won the championship in 2019, and then the day of the parade a few days later. I told my boss, she doesn't know anything about basketball. I told her 4 days before, I said, look, they're one game away from winning. Whenever that happens, like when you see it on the news, you won't see me for 5 days after that. I'll book them after as days off. Just don't worry about that. But don't expect me to come in for 5 days, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be at the events. I'm going to be at, I'll be out all night that night. I took my kids with me to both. We stayed out the entire night. The night they won, came home at 6 a.m. Yeah, we lived up the entire experience. I'm super stoked. Those are the memories, man. And I also just you were talking about, how the Raptors are a developmental team. Dude, the amount of slack Masai took for drafting Scotty Barnes.
There you go, man.
And how he's turning out to be now. This guy's going to be a great player. Remember, I said that if you don't think that already.
But hold on. But what's always been the motto in Toronto? Let's be honest. And I said this, that I was pissed too. Everybody wanted Jalen Suggs. They knew Jalen Suggs from the tournament last year with Gonzaga. Okay. But what's the motto with Masai? It's the same thing every year. In Masai, we trust. Yeah. No matter what, man. No matter who he picks up, even a guy like Malachi Flynn. I was like, what's this little kid they're picking up, right? He's been a great backup point guard when he's been available. Do you know what I mean? And you're right. The development is insane on this team, where at one point this year, we were like, all right, this Raptors team's a bust. It wasn't working for them. But now they're putting it together. Look at Pascal. They were able to get him back on track from his couple of rough years in the bubble. He's earning his money as one of the top 5 players in the league over the last 2 months or whatever it is. Doesn't get the respect. But yeah, I mean, a team like that can do anything. But I'd love to see what a team like that does with, it's too bad Giannis made the decision he made. And, he didn't want to come to Greek town number 2 here and the love he gets in this city. But can you imagine that? I mean, imagine Giannis with this squad.
Hey, we get him some spanakopita. We bring him here next time he's a free agent, man.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So there's a lot of guys, but the fact that Masai stayed, I think we can trust in what he's doing. He's not going to sit on a middle of the pack team for the next 5 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, look what he did to DeRozan, man. Who does that? Nobody does that, man. A guy who commits his entire life to a city and you ship him out at the expense of a maybe 1 year player that'll bring you a title. And that's a huge maybe, but he did it. He did it. It may never happen again, man. Like, you know what I mean? He did what he had to do. And you have to admire that. I'm super happy he stayed, man. That was a huge move for the Raptors.
100%. But Phil, man, it was our pleasure. Had a great time.
Before you go, tell people where they can find out about Genies.
Sir. Oh, Genies, man. Just go to Genies. Go to the Genies Twitter. Start there. And then there's a link for the Genies Discord. Get in that Discord, and there's an actual form in the Genies Discord that you can apply for early access. Get into the early access. get an interview, find an interview with my name if you want to have a party in there. And maybe I'll sneak you into the early access or something. But yeah, no, go to the Genies Twitter. I think it's at Genies. I think they got the actual handle at Genies. And then there's a link to the Discord. Chop it up in there. Tons of really good channels. Like even if you're not part of the early access, go in there. There's a mental health channel that I found very helpful because, I mean, you guys know, man, when you're in this space, you have your ups and your downs. And there's some nights where you don't even want to be part of the space anymore. And you wonder why you do this. And there's other nights where you're just like on cloud 9 because your stuff is, is pumping and, you're feeling it. You made some really good purchases, but it's easy to have the lows and to go in there and talk to other regular people who are kind of feeling the same thing. Genies is all about that. And it's been huge. So yeah, really cool stuff. And I'm super thankful you guys let me use your platform to talk about this stuff tonight.
Man, that's what we're all about. And also let the people know where they can follow you on social media as well.
Oh, at The Real Phil D, man. It's all in the name. The name The Real Phil D was actually given to me by an intern we had at work years ago. This guy wasn't able to make it to work ever before 11 a.m. because he couldn't wake up. He was an Ivy League kid coming right out of school, straight to our office. And he said, dude, you look like the real Phil D, man. You got to change your handles to that everywhere. So I tried, but the word real was taken. So I took REEL instead, which is kind of like a movie, a reel. And I've had it for the last 4 or 5 years, man. So at The Real Phil D on Twitter or anywhere else. And don't forget to follow at TheFirstMint as well, because that's where all the magic happens.
Sir, awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for your time. And you're welcome on the First Class Podcast anytime.
Thank you so much, guys. This was a blast.